This is TWiT.
According to classified documents obtained by The Intercept, the National Security Agency, or NSA, has been secretly providing data to more than 1,000 analysts at 23 U.S. government agencies that perform intelligence work, with its own search engine sharing over 850 billion records about phone calls, emails, cell phone locations, and internet chats for years. The search engine is called IC-Reach and lists the DEA, the FBI, the Central Intelligence Agency, and the Defense Intelligence Agency as core members, among others. Information shared through IC-Reach can be used to track people's movements, map their network of associates, help predict future actions, reveal religious affiliations or political beliefs, and not just for foreigners, but apparently millions of records on American citizens that aren't accused of any wrongdoing, at least not yet. NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden provided details about IC-Reach's existence in an archive of materials provided to The Intercept. Now, previously, the NSA acknowledged that it shares some of its collected data with domestic agencies like the FBI, but details about the method and the scope were never detailed. Another scary news. Are you ready? Surveillance systems are secretly collecting the movements of almost anybody who carries a cell phone, whether they're close by or even on another continent, to map people's travels over days or weeks or even longer, and then making that information available to governments across the world. This is according to company marketing documents and experts in surveillance technology speaking to the Washington Post. The technology works by exploiting how all cellular networks basically keep detailed real-time records on the locations of their customers so that they can deliver calls and other services to them. But by typing a phone number into a computer portal of some kind and then collecting information from the location database maintained by cellular carriers, their surveillance systems learn which cell tower a target is currently using, and that also reveals location. One industry official that was speaking anonymously said that dozens of countries have bought or leased this kind of technology in recent years. In light of these claims, the Federal Communications Commission has said it will investigate possible misuse of tracking technology that collects location data from carrier databases. Well, Microsoft has had a bit of an off year in China. We've reported that the Chinese government agency banned people from installing Windows 8 on its machines due to potential security concerns. And earlier this summer, Chinese government officials raided Microsoft offices in the country, reportedly to investigate monopolistic practices. Now, a member of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, speaking with the Xinhua news agency, claims that in October, the country will launch its own operating system for desktop PCs, including an app store. If successful, the new OS could push out American rivals such as Windows and Mac OS X altogether, and foreign operating systems could potentially be eradicated from the nation's computers in 2 years or less. Although not necessarily. Back in 2000, China created, remember this, Red Flag Linux? I remember, which was required to be installed on all state computers, but it never actually gained traction with the general Chinese public. And of course, that's where all the numbers are. For what it's worth, Windows 9 might be publicly revealed sometime in late September or early October, which makes the timing of all this very interesting. Back in June, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against Aereo. That's a service which used little banks of tiny antennas and a cloud-based DVR to let people redirect over-the-air TV to connected devices. Remember Aereo? It was well liked, but the court found Aereo violated federal copyright law. Now, TiVo is getting into the mix with the $50 TiVo Roamio OTA, which is sort of like the most basic model of the TiVo Roamio. It can record for 4 shows at once, has enough hard disk space for 75 hours of HD video. But with the Roamio OTA, a customer can only record TV that they can pull in with an antenna. Then again, with OTA antennas, there's a lot of HD content available, and it's all free. It'll be available at 430 Best Buy stores beginning in September and will be $15 per month with a 1-year commitment. Good for, people who already like TiVo. Facebook really wants to downplay articles that fall under the category of clickbait. As of today, the world's biggest social network is introducing 2 updates aimed at helping clean up the news feed. Number 1, it's cracking down on clickbait headlines, which Facebook defines as, quote, when a publisher posts a link with a headline that encourages people to click to see more without telling them much information about what they will see. The company will now look at the ratio of people clicking on the content compared to people discussing and sharing it with their friends. operating under the idea that lower engagement, which is likes or comments or shares, relative to the click signals clickbait. The second thing Facebook is doing is now encouraging the sharing of articles as links instead of as photo captions by giving better rankings to links which are posted in the link format. That's when you copy and paste a link into the text box, as compared to links that are in photo captions. Now, if only all of my California friends' earthquake updates from 3 a.m. on Sunday morning weren't still at the top of my newsfeed, we'd really be getting somewhere. And speaking of earthquakes, let's just end on an earthquake note, shall we? Some interesting data actually came out of wearable fitness trackers over the weekend in California, measuring the sleeping patterns of the people who were wearing them and suddenly jumped up or otherwise moved. On Sunday, Jawbone data scientists aggregated data from Up users based on location to visualize thousands of people waking up at once when the quake, which is based near Napa, hit. It was a pretty intense spike, actually. Now, the U.S. Geological Survey website also offers a way for anyone to report that they felt a quake, data that scientists and the media use to track just how far a quake has traveled. But that, you can claim anything pretty much. The Jawbone data shows that 93% of Up users within 15 miles of the quake's epicenter woke up or at least moved in some radical way, while just a little more than half of the users in San Francisco and Oakland, which is more miles away, were awakened by the shaking.